Welcome to our second day in Taipei. In this video, we visit Elephant Mountain, we check out Raohe Night Market, and try some more street food. We started off the day in our Ximending hotel and waited for our Uber. Here's some scenes from a Uber we got heading towards the mountain. We're on our way to the mountain here, and we're passing by the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial. We visit it later on our trip. We're driving through the center part of Taipei, going from Ximending, which is in the west, to around the Elephant Mountain, which is on the east side. This is the trailhead, or the entrance to the Elephant Mountain hike. You can see quite a lot of people, and there are also some cafes nearby the entrance. As you can see, the trail is mostly stairs. It does get into some dirt paths higher up the stairs, but overall it's not a very strenuous or difficult hike. This is the view from the top. There's several viewpoints to see the skyline, and Taipei 101 features prominently in all the viewpoints. Please don't roast me for these pull-ups. I know they're more like swings, but I wasn't using much momentum, to be fair. It's just that I should have used the other bar, which was a bit taller. We decided to check out the other viewing platforms on the way down. There are around 3 or 4 throughout the hike, and we could take our time this way and see from each level what the view looked like. So this is actually kind of near evening time, and you can see it's a golden hour, so it casts a really nice shade across the whole skyline. There are a few boulders here where you can take pictures. I kind of regret not trying it since it probably would have looked pretty cool. In person, the lowest viewing platform that we're at now was the best, I think. Taipei 101 looked huge on this platform, and the skyline was still close enough that you could make out a lot of the details. So the hike was fairly short. I'd say definitely less than an hour, even with all the stopping for pictures. And we decided to check out this cafe that looked pretty cool when we were coming on the way to the mountain. I'm not quite sure what the theme is. It kind of reminded me of just an Irish bar or Irish cafe. Overall, this ended up being a very nice and cozy place to spend the evening and recover after the hike. This was a bit of a pleasant surprise, but you can see Taipei 101 from the neighborhoods. I'd say it was actually an even more dramatic view than from on top of Elephant Mountain. Oh, this looks incredible. This was definitely a theme throughout the trip, but we stopped by a lot of convenience stores just to check out what they had. We lived in Japan before, and it reminded us of Japan in terms of the convenience stores. It's very similar. Singapore also has these type of convenience stores, but they aren't as close to the ones in Japan as in Taipei. You can see here we're passing nearby Taipei 101. It's called the, I believe, Xinyi district. Probably not pronouncing that right, but you know, it's in this area, and we're heading up to the Raohe night market. To save time, we've mostly taken Uber around in Taipei, which seems to be everywhere. I went in 2017 and Uber wasn't as much of a thing here. And I'd say compared to the US, Uber is pretty affordable, so if you're on a trip and you want to save some time, Uber works pretty well here. That said, Taipei has a great metro system, and if you're anywhere on the Green Line that runs east to west, it's extremely convenient to get to most attractions. This is the entrance to Raohe Night Market. You can't miss the temple right next to it though, it really stands out. Raohe is on the northeast side of Taipei. I'd say it's definitely worth visiting, and if you see it with the Taipei 101 area, it's not too far. Raohe was probably the most crowded night market on our trip. I'm not sure if it's always this crowded or it's just because, you know, it's such a narrow alley and then there's just a ton of people, but it was definitely the hardest to get around in our trip. I was thinking about it, and Singapore doesn't really have night markets, but they have hawker centers, and that's pretty much the equivalent. So instead of having stalls just organically in a street, Singapore has them in an actual government-built center. There are definitely some staples in Singapore's hawker centers, so I'm wondering what are the staples in Taipei? Since I can read most of the signs, unfortunately it's hard to tell, but there's definitely bubble tea everywhere. There's definitely stinky tofu, and there was some barbecue, so those definitely stood out to me. I tried my best to film most of the night market. You can see it has some similarities to the other night market we visited, but it's also got its own feel, in my opinion, just being a more cramped space. There were just an endless amount of stalls. I'd say compared to Singapore, I didn't notice as many, staple stalls. Like in Singapore and hawker centers, you see many of the same types of food. It's possible because I can't read Chinese, that there are a lot of repeats, but to me there seemed like a greater variety. If you've been to both places, let me know what you think. Is there more variety in the Taipei night markets? And curious to hear your thoughts there. Oh, this is what Marty likes. I thought that's like popcorn chicken, like what Marty. Problem with night markets is that there's almost too much choice. So we pretty much went through the whole night market before making a choice, and that took quite a while actually just to see all of the stalls. We ended up trying this fried chicken stall, mostly because there was a bar that said you could bring in outside food. Apparently, this is pretty standard in night markets, so there's a good chance if you see a bar in a night market, you could bring in outside food. Just check the signs though, as this one had the sign explicitly in front of it. To balance it out, I grabbed this stuffed bread. I'm not sure what the exact name is, but it has some garlic in it. Then we also got this, the dumplings, some xiaolong bao, which is famous in Taiwan. Lastly, we had some chicken yakitori, and that capped out our meal. At this point, we decided to go back to our hotel in Ximending and check out the nightlife there. The train was pretty convenient because it was on the same line. So if you're staying in Taipei, this line is definitely the way to go, the whatever the green line is called, since it's on a lot of major stops. If you're into getting Nike City shirts, so this Nike shirt says Taipei on it, you can get one at the main Ximending Nike. You can see here some of the stalls in the Ximending night market, and then in this clip we're heading towards the Red House area. Towards the back of the Red House, there's a set of bars here, so you can enjoy a view of the Red House while you have a drink. This area is apparently well known as Taipei's LGBT district as well, so you'll see in a second when you go to the second floor, there's a few bars that cater to that community. From the top, you can also see the main area of Ximending as well as all the bars. We had originally wanted to stay at one of the bars, but we also had the urge to get a massage. So in true fashion, the massage won out and we decided to skip the bars completely tonight and just go for a foot massage. If you go into the Red House itself, there's a few creative stores you can see, and they sell various handcrafted goods. The Red House area itself was built during the Japanese occupation. It used to be a market, but nowadays it's more of like a creative hub. So this is the end of our second date in Taipei, which has ended with a fairly reasonably priced and economical massage. Definitely recommend trying it out if your feet are tired from all the exploring.